get away, get a stand, just blend in here with the concrete.
Behind the barrier.
Exactly. Nobody talk. Let me just sit here on my own and just blend in. How many people know that that's Mr. Long sitting back there taking in the game? But typical dad who's played just wants to be away and just watch it for himself.
Chris, a junior, tremendous leader, great motor, big future in this game. On 3rd and 7, it's ball again. Rolls to his left to get some time. Looks way downfield and fires incomplete from the bench. They had 2 receivers, Calvin Johnson and James Johnson in the area. Flag comes down.
Right away, we'll have to see what the flag is. Very obvious, Virginia taking away Calvin Johnson, an eligible man downfield, taking Calvin Johnson away on 3rd down. Reggie Ball.
Ineligible receiver downfield, 68 of the offense. That penalty is refused. 4th down.
Rado, the right tackle, going downfield a little bit too far. But Chris, Reggie Ball looking right at number 21, Calvin Johnson, the entire time. And good look at number 26, the corner, Chris Cook, sinking in coverage and taking away his #1 target, Calvin Johnson.
So 3 plays, net 3 yards, and Durant Brooks on the punt for Georgia Tech. Booms it pretty good and sprinting across the field as Andrew Pearman is knocked down immediately. Excellent coverage by Lawrence Marius, the backup corner on special teams. 46-yard punt for Brooks. Here comes this Virginia offense. It's in the bottom 20 in all offensive categories through their 3 games. And the rebuilt offensive line, no more DeBrickashaw Ferguson or Brad Butler. Those guys are in the NFL, and there are 4 new starters up here.
That's been the part of this offense that's struggled the most, is the offensive line. They've been inconsistent. Al Groh's offense, he has to have a dominating offensive line. And they're breaking in a new group up front, and a redshirt freshman making his first career start at quarterback.
First snap as a starter for Jameel Sewell, and he hands off to Jason Snelling, the big physical back for Virginia. No running room as he's met right there by Philip Wheeler, the guy we talked about in the open, the very active, athletic linebacker for Georgia Tech. There's John Tenuta's defense, and this is the strength of this defense. Joe Anawai, the senior out of Pensacola, Florida, leader up there.
Anawai is Tenuta's kind of guy. There's John Tenuta, one of the better defensive coordinators. An aggressive attacking defense tonight for the young offensive line and the young quarterback. How will they respond to that?
Well, they'll try to confuse him all night. Show one thing, actually play a different kind of coverage. And this is a passing down. Sewell flips it, little adrenaline over the head of Andrew Pearman. Considered kind of a low-risk pass for him, Kirk, but a little pumped up.
Well, he's pumped up and throwing a lateral there that's going to put the ball back. It looked like a lateral to me. They're going to say it. They're going to say it was an incompletion, but it looked like a lateral. Chris, what John Tenuta did that time is he disguises his coverage. See if he throws the ball. Now that came forward. That looked good. Incompletion. 3rd and long though for the young quarterback.
Sewell is mobile, rolls out, and instead of overthrowing that throw, just bounces this one in here for Fontel Mines. So maybe the kind of start you might expect. Conference, road game, national TV for the first-time starter.
Not unexpected. It's important here with the special teams. Win the field position battle for Virginia. 3 and out. I know it's not a good thing, but they've got to be able to get a good punt here and try to win the field position early for this struggling Virginia offense.
And Chris Gold, the punter, has been one of the few bright spots for this offense through the first 3 games. Andrew Smith back to receive it for Georgia Tech. Smith at his 20, fumbles the football, tries to pick it up. Just as the coverage was closing in, Smith able to corral it. Antonio Appleby down there very quickly. So the Jackets dodge the turnover, but on Throwback Thursday, they'll start their next possession also with poor field position. Back in Atlanta. Tashard Choice takes the handoff from the left side. That's the most positive play on offense so far for either team. 1970, Bud Carson was the head coach. The color of the jersey is just like slightly different. Look at that 220-pound tackle there. Pretty good year, 9-3, but it was not picked because it was an especially successful year for the Jackets. They just liked the white helmets and the gold.
I like the look. It's a good change up.
amusement here from the 1,400 SAT crowd on campus. 6 yards on first down. Ball will throw. Fires near side, and it's caught by James Johnson, the less heralded Johnson among the receiving corps. No relation to Calvin. Nate Lyles runs him out of bounds, and first down on the 15-yard gain. On first down, empty backfield. Mike Cox, the fullback, set in the slot to the right. Ball just takes off. Follows his fullback. Gets a nice block. Breaks into the secondary, twisting for 11 yards. So the big fullback, the 245-pound junior, Cox, leading the way.
This is a big part of what Georgia Tech likes to do, and I know it was Troy, but last week Reggie Ball set a school record for a quarterback rushing at 130 yards rushing out of the quarterback position. Chris, that's pretty phenomenal. He's leading the Yellow Jackets coming into this game, 6.9 yards a carry.
That guy could run. Joe Hamilton. He's a good running quarterback.
That's when Georgia Tech had a very diversified attack. But Reggie Ball running more and more, even though he's in his 4th year as a starter.
Ball fires over the middle, in and out of the hands intended for Rashawn Grant, the running back, because they'll split out in the slot quite often. They got a hand on it there at the line.
He is a talented back, and Patrick Nix, who's now calling the plays for Chan Gailey. He's been there as an offensive coordinator, but now is actually calling the plays. Good look at Patrick, who's got a bright future as a coach, as a head coach. I think his aggressive nature has a lot to do with how they're attacking this year on offense. Of course, you want to get the ball, obviously, to Calvin Johnson, but they are now, instead of scrambling with Reggie Ball, a lot of quarterback design runs with Reggie Ball.
It's Calvin Johnson, wide left in the formation, throwing a block as they pitch it out to Choice. He gets to just near midfield for a short gain. We'll see how much of a factor Johnson can be in this game. Looked to be running around okay. A deep thigh bruise knocked him out of the game against Troy last week, and he was questionable right up until kickoff. Can he have his usual explosiveness, the 45-inch vertical, the 4.4 speed, or is his presence more of a leader and a decoy and a short yardage receiver kind of guy tonight?
Well, people want to see him separate. When you say 6'4", 235 pounds, and a 4.3, you should be running away from defensive backs.
Virginia shows pressure and brings it on third down, and ball fires long across the field, and there's the catch. Ball shows the arm. Chris Cook on the coverage with the first reception for Calvin Johnson, 17 yards.
Thing that was most impressive to me, and this is experience from a quarterback and a receiver. I love to see this in college football because you don't see it a lot. Anticipation on 3rd and long. That ball is thrown well before Calvin Johnson was made his cut to the outside. I actually thought Calvin Johnson was trying to go by Chris Cook. Chris Cook does a decent job staying with him, but the ball is thrown as Calvin Johnson looks like he's running downfield. Great relationship that time by Ball and Johnson.
First down against the blitz. They hand it off to Choice up the middle. Nice game. So pretty sharp second series for Reggie Ball after a sketchy start.
Well, this drive right now, and that's a big part of any football game, is when you make adjustments throughout the game. And this second series, you're starting to see this offense can attack you in different ways. I think a lot of people think it's Reggie Ball scrambling or it's a fade up in the air to Calvin Johnson. I think now you're starting to see better decisions from Reggie Ball, and I also think there are more athletes on the field at his disposal that can allow him to make plays.
Johnson wide left. It's instead thrown to the man in the slot. Grant able to turn the corner and pick up a first down at the 22-yard line. This is the playmaker, the explosive guy. He runs very good routes as a receiver in the slot, but he's also a valuable playmaker at running back. He's a guy that was a blue chipper, missed half of last year with an injury, and they are glad to have Rashawn Grant in the mix tonight.
Chris, this is an example of where Reggie Ball has developed. This is a run play, but he sees that nobody is there. That is a play that's known only by the quarterback and the receiver that time, Rashawn Grant. The linemen were running it like a run play, but Reggie Ball recognized the coverage in a soft coverage and threw it out there for a big gain.
You risk a penalty on that play. Now we get a trick play as the fullback, Mike Cox, is going to throw back to a wide open ball. Who slips as he tries to work his way to the end zone. But it's first and goal. Jackets at the 5 as Cox throws it back to the quarterback. Throwback Thursday.
Yeah, throwback Thursday. And how about seeing a fullback, Mike Cox, who's known to be a great blocker, but Virginia's defense right now on their heels, running to the football as fast as they can. They fell asleep. Nice job of coming back. Diaz isn't there to make the play. I thought Reggie Ball in the open field might get into the end zone, but a great play call by Patrick Nix.
Yeah, who's given a new meaning to Throwback Thursday here. Johnson, top of the screen. They throw the fade to him. Jump ball. Little overthrown and pretty good coverage there by Marcus Hamilton. This is their trademark play down in the red zone. Just throw it up and let Big Calvin go get it. The flag near the line of scrimmage. Very predictable, but still tough to defend that play. And there is that penalty we talked about. That wasn't the same kind of situation you were mentioning, but an eligible lineman downfield there.
Well, Georgia Tech does a lot of run pass check with me's at the line of scrimmage. That sometimes Reggie Ball, if he gets rid of the ball quick enough, he can avoid those penalties. So Patrick Nix told us yesterday, guys, hang with me now. We're going to have a few guys downfield.
Ineligible receiver downfield during a legal forward pass. Number 73 of the offense, 5 yards, still first down.
But I think on that one, that was a designed pass the entire way. I think that was just a miscommunication up front. But you're right, Calvin Johnson, we're going to keep saying it. If he's 6'4", and he has a 45-inch vertical, it's tough to stop him. This time, Chris Cook, the sophomore, gets the assignment at the top of the screen.
Still first and goal. Ball keeps it on the option, gets back to the initial line of scrimmage before the linebacker John Copper clocked him.
The other thing you can use Calvin Johnson for, because you know it, and I know it, and everybody else knows it. See Reggie Ball last week setting a school record with 130 yards rushing. Dangerous with his feet. But we all know that 21's a factor down in the red zone, and that there's a chance they could throw it up to him. Georgia Tech also tries to use him as a decoy to take some coverage away, and then it'll open it up for either Reggie Ball running or another receiver like Rashawn Grant here in the slot with a chance to make a play.
There's some choices for Nix in the red zone. They run the option. They got the big receiver. What they do here. Well, it's Ball keeping, headed for the end zone and scoring. Untouched. Johnson, a great block there.
Well, we just talked about how they can use him as a decoy. He's at the top. And once he realizes this is a design all the way. He gets great body position. He's got the strength to be able to keep Cook out away from Reggie Ball. A design run and the speed. Virginia blitzed Chris, took themselves out of the play. And once Reggie got to the outside, he had the block that he needed from Calvin Johnson to pick up the touchdown.
Travis Bell still perfect in his career for PATs, 74-70. And Georgia Tech strikes first at home in their ACC opener. Good-looking touchdown drive, 84 yards, 11 plays, covering 414, and now Muhammad Yahiaoui to kick off for the Jackets. It's Cedric Pierman for Virginia. Trying to find room, sheds a tackle. Strong return as he bounces out across the 30-yard line. Contrast that first career start for Jamil Sewell of Virginia, trying to settle in here. Fire is complete, and that's the first positive play they've had. Kevin Ogletree is the go-to receiver for Virginia with the injury to Deion Williams, who is dressed and available tonight, we're told, despite a fractured foot in camp. Was not expected back for a few weeks, but Ogletree in the meantime will have to be the go-to receiver, and there's a first completion for Sewell.
Which is a big thing. It's a big thing, especially when Georgia Tech goes 84 yards, and this offense coming into tonight, one of the worst in the country. In fact, they're 117th in the nation in rushing offense.
And they're having trouble up front blocking anybody, and that's the Georgia Tech defensive line. Darrell Robertson stuffing the short run by Snelling for a loss. Saturday night football features two fantastic regional matchups. Most of you are going to see Notre Dame try to bounce back from a tough loss and get payback against Michigan State for that flag planting incident in South Bend a year ago. Others will see number 3 or number 2, depending on your point of view in the poll. USC visiting Mike Stoops' Arizona team. 8 o'clock Eastern, regional coverage on ABC. So 3rd and 3 for Virginia as they lose a yard on 2nd down, but this is big Snelling powering ahead for the 1st down. Virginia just has got to get better blocking up front and generate something on the ground for this young quarterback.
You're breaking in 4 or 5 new offensive linemen. You're breaking in a new quarterback. They don't have a lot of difference makers out at wide receiver, so they have to be very methodical. They have to be very consistent, and when you have that many new people up front, it puts a lot of pressure on them. And not to mention the defense that you're going up against is giving you a different look every snap.
I might take issue with something you said there. That's okay. I'm not sure this offense can be methodical and consistent and drive the field to 12 plays. They're going to have to try to create something, though. Don't they have to look for a spark and an unexpected play here? There's no way they can execute down the field against this defense.
If you can go out and find somebody who has the potential to make that play with Deion Williams out, that's what has put Al Groh in such a tough position. Is they've lost a lot of players through graduation. It's not to say they don't have anybody. Ogletree, number 20 at the bottom, can make a play, but they have to try to be consistent or play with a short field with their defense giving them good field position.
They hand it off to Snelling, and he is hammered behind the line. Darrell Robertson, the junior, the guy they called Robo. He's a first-year starter, very athletic D lineman. This is a good D line, and he hammered Snelling.
When you don't have that ability to go the distance in 80 yards, that's the thing why they're struggling, is they have to be consistent and they have to go 12 plays and 13 plays and 80 yards.
It's not going to happen, though. It's not going to happen.
That's why they're 117th in the nation right now in offense.
And that's why they've run the ball 5 times. 4 times it's been a loss.
Well, when you don't have difference makers and you're breaking in new people, it makes it, you're swimming upstream.
The rookie lefty on 3rd and long takes off and shows the quickness, but nowhere near a 1st down.
Well, that's their best playmaker right there. Sewell, now a quarterback. His ability to create when things break down probably is going to be their best chance at making that kind of play, because 3rd down, you know that Georgia Tech and Tenuta, they're going to come after you, and when he gets into the open field, he can give you a chance and have that kind of burst that you're talking about.
Talking to Chris Olsen there, who was the starter for the first 3 games. The senior, former Notre Dame quarterback who transferred to Virginia but just really struggled in the first 3 games, giving Sewell the chance. Chris Gold back to punt again. Knocks it high, and Andrew Smith will let it bounce at the 4, but a nice sand wedge punt there. Chris Gould knocks it dead at the 1. That's what Virginia needs. Chance for the defense to make a stop or make a play. 52-yard punt. The Jackets get the ball back, pinned back near their goal. Back in Atlanta, Georgia Tech's ACC opener against recent nemesis Virginia, which has won the last 3 games in this series and 4 of the last 5. You can see BC and Wake Forest, the 2 undefeated teams in the Atlantic of the ACC. Our all-state standings review. Hokies look very strong over in the Coastal Division, but it's been a disappointing start to the season for the ACC. Tech looking for running room here, handed off to Tashard Choice. Virginia said that their emphasis tonight, Kirk, was takeaways. None last week, only 3 on the season. This would be a great spot for it.
Well, going back to your point about how difficult it is for this offense to drive the length of the field, that's obvious against this Georgia Tech defense. Their only chance to compete tonight and to make a game of it, as we talked about in the open, is winning field position and getting a short field for their young quarterback. It's the 2nd time now they've had Georgia Tech pinned back. We'll see this time if they can capitalize and try to either get a turnover or force a punt.
Critical 2nd down to see if they can force Tech into a passing down on 3rd down. Choice able to squirm for a couple of yards. Will set up a situation where Patrick Nix will have a decision to make, and Gailey's motto on offense always is don't mess it up and create a turnover and give the other team a chance. So we'll see if they play conservatively down here and Virginia gets a stop.
Or let's see if they give Reggie Ball, who's off to a pretty good start, a chance to make a play. I think you usually see them err on the side, a little bit of caution here, especially with the ball pinned back near their own end zone. But this is a bit, again, early in the game, big series here for Virginia.
Calling the shotgun on 3rd and 4. And it is a running play, and meeting him right there is big Jeffrey Fitzgerald, the freshman defensive end out of Richmond, has been very active getting his playing time this season and making the most of it. Key stop.
Well, you can see that this is one of those teams and one of those times Howie Long's pretty excited about the defense with his son down there making plays. But that time, the freshman Fitzgerald, nice job of reading their keys. Pretty good idea that when they get in the shotgun on third down, that Reggie Ball is going to keep the football to try to pick up the first, and they were ready for it.
So Durant Brooks backed up near the end line to punt here. Gets it away quickly. Good boot. Andrew Pearman pushed way back to his 35-yard line. And the Jackets cover it beautifully. Clutch punt by Brooks, and Virginia is denied really good field position.
Well, now they're back to half. Still, it's a pretty good field position, but not what it could have been. You saw Howie Long, who is obviously a legendary player in his own right, and this is him early in the game. I told you, as a former player, he just likes to stay away from everybody and just take it in. This is well before the game started. He's just watching his son, just getting a feel for how he's looking. Number 91. Number 91 is one of the captains, one of the leaders of this team, getting the team riled up, getting them fired up. Learned a lot, of course, from a father who's one of the best of all time.
Sewell takes a look, decides to run, and is clobbered in there by K. Michael Hall. He's the senior from Houston, the mind of that defense, but even though he's a cerebral guy and a smart player, he can still hit.
Well, K. Michael Hall and Philip Wheeler give him two linebackers who are familiar with the scheme and who are athletic. That time, poor Jamil Sewell, the young freshman, before he even knew what happened, 35, was right in his ear hole.
C.K. Michael, he's got the retro fro. He usually wears braids, but in the spirit of things tonight, took out the braids, this 1970 fro.
It looked good on him yesterday.
So, a fun start for the folks who like Georgia Tech.
Second down and 10.
Well, when you go to Georgia Tech and you got to take calculus and mechanical engineering and physics and all that stuff that we dodged in college, Herbie, you need something to blow off steam.
Right.
And I didn't take that stuff, did you?
I did, yeah.
You took physics and
calculus. Yeah, I didn't.
Right.
Stayed away from the physics.
Sewell pressured, and now it's 3rd and long for the young quarterback, just trying to get his head on straight against a very complicated and talented defense here at Georgia Tech. I mean, they made Brady Quinn and all those career starts look at times pretty confused and induced an off night, and in the opener here, much less a guy like Sewell.
Yeah, Al Groh told me something today that was obvious, but it's apparent here. 3rd and long, just don't make it any easier for Georgia Tech. If it's not there, throw it away or take a sack, but do not turn the ball over.
Andrew Pearman goes in motion for Sewell. He looks right at him and fires complete. Fighting near first down yardage, but not getting it because Jamal Lewis, the safety, was there to shove him out. I believe he's going to be just short about the 48.
And Al Groh not hesitating, even though it's going to be less than a yard. Brings out the punt team right away with the ball right around midfield.
And a good job by Lewis, the converted corner. They need better kind of run support play from him. Plays like that, running to the football and delivering the hit short of the first down. So Chris Gold will try to once again knock it down there and pin Georgia Tech back as Andrew Smith stands on his 10-yard line to receive it. This time Smith will come forward, bounces short, and it's down at the 10-yard line for some reason. They might have been able to really let that roll inside the 5. Team is nasty. They are athletic. Calvin Johnson, speaking of athletes, collects the pass across the 20-yard line in front of Marcus Hamilton. Pick up about 9.
It's going to be fun to see Brett Bielema and his defense, what they can do coming off of that game against, they played San Diego State, defense playing well, Michigan on fire. I continue to say it. Michael Hart, his health paramount to the success because he's the spark plug, the emotional spark plug of the Wolverines. But Hart against the Wisconsin defense will be fun to watch.
What about the Wisconsin offense with John Stocco coming off knee surgery about 6 weeks ago? He's going to try to go out there. He can't be he wasn't the most mobile guy before. But now against that fast defense, you can see Johnson just short of the first down marker. It'll be second and very short.
And that's the noon game on ESPN right after college game day.
You go from Columbus to the Big House.
Yeah.
And then you go to East Lansing at night.
Yeah, I'll be over there for the ABC primetime game. Looking forward to that matchup.
See if they take a shot at a big play on second and short. No, they played safe and handed Choice, who has first down yardage at about the 24. There would have been a chance to look and see what kind of coverage Calvin Johnson was getting and take a shot downfield.
Well, I think his health at this point, I don't think he's 100% because of the deep thigh bruise, but I think he's healthy enough to be able to try to locate the ball and try to get him the ball. Virginia right now has a safety over top of him almost every snap. What a safety over top of him means, they have a corner underneath and a safety over top. So they have two defenders a lot of times taking him out of the play. I still think you have to try to find ways to get him the ball.
This time the safety walks up and they fire it again short. It's caught by Chris Dunlap, the senior from Miramar, Florida, his 4th catch on the season.
This time Virginia disguising coverage, and actually at the last second you can see the linebacker coming up and that safety right there coming up to take Dunlap. There was one-on-one coverage, one of the few times tonight that Calvin Johnson had one-on-one coverage, but Reggie Ball had an open receiver and at that time decided to just get a ball to the outside to Dunlap. There are not many times when he's left alone, so you have to try to capitalize on it when he is.
Still a very positive play on 1st down, 2nd and 3. Hand it off to Choice. Nice job by Virginia's 3-4, plugging up the middle right there. Alan Billick and John Copper, the linebacker, on the stop.
Remember the fast start that he had with the buildup of Georgia Tech and Notre Dame. All the anticipation of that game. Everybody knew he would get the ball, and he did get the ball early and often. Ended up having a great game, but since then, he's not had that same chance. And I know the competition has dropped off a notch, and he's coming off an injury in last week's game, but I will not be shocked here, even in this drive, to see them try to locate 21 and see if he can make a play.
Instead, they run the option and collecting the high pitch is Choice. It's Johnson as a blocker on that play. Cook able to run him out of bounds at the 40 after a 7-yard gain. Okay, Reese, on 1st down, it's Choice. The Choice of ball again, and he gets about 4 yards on the left side. Jermaine Dias there on the stop. So Georgia Tech, promising start to this drive. Last time they had the football, it was an 84-yard touchdown drive, and it's Jamil Sewell, the rookie starting quarterback for Virginia, trying to get his feet in the early going.
And it's a big part of him getting his feet going and settling in is the defense trying to make plays. I want to see how they elect to defend Calvin Johnson this time, who's going to be at the bottom of the bottom of the screen. You have also Rashawn Grant right here, but here's the big man right here. I want to see if Virginia, they're going to walk the safety up. So again, he's all by himself down the field, and they're going to go to the other side.
It was Greg Smith. The ball just fired over his head and out of bounds by Ball as Cook was there on the coverage. It's a little chess match going on here.
And that's what Patrick Nix is looking at. And I think he wants to get the ball into Reggie Ball's hand, or into Calvin Johnson's hands. But here he is one-on-one against a senior, Marcus Hamilton. But look at the body language and watch Calvin Johnson. A little disgusted, a little disappointed. You can see his head down there a little bit. He wants to get the football. And I don't care if he's 85 or 90% healthy with that bruise on his thigh, you still have to try to find him if you're Reggie Ball.
An opportunity missed for Ball. Sets up a 3rd and 6. Quick release, a nice grab. Now they're going to roll incomplete. Tony Franklin was there on the coverage. Grant reached back for the football, came close to grabbing it, but instead tackle punt.
And Copper, at time the linebacker, getting pressure on Reggie Ball, but Franklin, the senior, getting in there to deflect the ball away. But Chris, I want to say one thing about Calvin Johnson. I don't want to say, boy, he's got his head down. He's one of those guys that gets upset and discouraged if he doesn't get the ball. He is a humble, hard-working guy, but sometimes you get a little discouraged and a little disgusted when you're out there and you don't have a chance to make plays.
So Durant Brooks, who booted it 61 yards the last time, sends a nice booming kick, and it's a fair catch. And a fumble down inside the 5-yard line. Virginia able to fall on it at the 1. It was Ryan Best, the junior safety, who dodged disaster. And with this offense and a young quarterback,
perfect.
That would have been big trouble. It's trouble now at the 1, but it's worse if they go into the end zone and a fumble.
No, I think that's, 1-yard line. I thought it was a 6-inch line.
Another good punt for Brooks and Virginia. Back in Atlanta, Virginia with 99 yards in front of them and a lot of very loud Georgia Tech students right behind them in that end zone. Cannot afford a mistake right here for the first-time starter, Jamil Sewell, the quarterback. They let him throw, though, and he fires incomplete. He was looking for Fontel Mines once again off target, so they show some faith calling the pass down.
Great call. Great call by Al Groh. This is a team that has thrown 4 interceptions. 3 of them have been returned for touchdowns, 1 to their own 20. So they have self-destructed many times this year, and that's why they cannot make it any easier for Georgia Tech. Great call there, giving young quarterback some confidence with his back up against that end zone.
See, they have not been able to sustain a drive at all so far tonight, Virginia. This time they'll hand it off, and just barely getting across the goal line is Snelling before K. Michael Hall clocked him. Aaron, about what you might expect from Sewell so far tonight.
Yeah, I was over on Virginia's sidelines while the offense was over by the bench, watching Jameel kind of trying to figure out what his demeanor was. He was just like Al Groh told me he'd be before the game. Calm, cool, collective. He said, when things are going good, he's calm. When things are going bad, he's calm. And sometimes you just want a little spark out of him. See if he can get that here, guys.
He's a raw talent with a big future, but they're beginning the future tonight for this freshman on 3rd and 10. Sewell from his end zone again, fires low, intended for Mines, but he's been off target with most of his throws tonight. 2 of 7 now.
Well, you just heard Aaron Andrews talking about it, and the pressure there. 3rd down against any defense, let alone Georgia Tech's defense, where the field has tilted now way back in favor of Georgia Tech. You got to stand in there and try to deliver a football and try to pick up a 1st down. Their options are limited as a play caller with such a young quarterback.
You saw Sewell's father there. Tough job tonight, watching your kid in his first start in a pressure situation. This is not a very good punt from Gold. And coming up to field it, risky play, is Andrew Smith. But Georgia Tech now will start inside the 35 of the Cavaliers. So Gold not able to deliver a clutch punt that time.
Not that time when they needed it the most. That time he just looked like he wanted to get it out before the Georgia Tech special teams got to him. But now Reggie Ball, great field position already with a lead. Let's see if Patrick Nix tries to attack and go right for the jugular with a big play in their passing attack, or if they'll continue to try to spread the ball around much of the way they have here in this first half.
Big Calvin with 2 catches so far tonight. The far side of the screen, and ball looks the other direction, fires, and a low percentage kind of throw for James Johnson on the sidelines, well covered by Hamilton.
And they are trying to move it around, and they've got other players that can make plays. But standing up here and watching, and Patrick Nix takes some criticism that I think, as a play caller and offensive coordinator, is unfair at times. They can only call the plays. At some point, a quarterback has got to be able to look. If you have a receiver that's 6'4", 234 pounds that can run a 4.3, look to him first. Get him the football.
Give it to Choice, who knifes through for about 6.
I mean, we talk about his ability and about how big he is, and we're not exaggerating. He's 6'5", 235 pounds. He can run by a defense with a. Jen Gailey told me he clocked him himself at 4.39, so he's a 4.35, 45-inch vertical, and you've got him matched up one-on-one against Marcus Hamilton, who's a corner on the other side. I know a lot of quarterbacks that would take that matchup every snap. Forced him to make 2 defenders take him away.
3rd and long 5 now as the Jackets try to cash in this good field position. Ball is going to run it, and no one there. Again, he had Johnson running down the field with Chris Cook, and that Virginia defense sniffed it out pretty well. Clint Sintum, linebacker.
You know, and I don't mean to beat him up here, Chris, but, and I know Calvin Johnson's got a thigh bruise. 70 or 80% of Calvin Johnson, if the numbers that we're hearing are legitimate. That time he's going up against a corner who's a sophomore who's got great size, 6'2", but he's, again, one-on-one by himself going down the sideline. 3rd down. You might want to look for 21.
It's a tough distance for Travis Bell, a 47-yard field goal attempt in his career, only 8 of 18 from this distance, but he's able to sneak it through just barely. So that's almost a victory for the Virginia defense, as the great field position results in just a 3-and-out and a field goal and a 10-0 lead for the Yellow Jackets. But Virginia will still have to generate some offense, and we look for bigger and better things from Johnson to come tonight. Virginia offside, or Georgia Tech, excuse me, offsides on the kickoff, so Virginia will make him kick it again from the 30. They got to generate something in the return game, something on special teams, anything to help this offense, which is showing why they're 112th coming into this game against the likes of Wyoming and Western Michigan. Now they got a much tougher defense to face, and Virginia has generated less yards than Johnson has, despite only catching 2 passes tonight. Virginia with 23 total yards in 4 possessions. This time, Herman comes together with Michael Johnson. It's Johnson finally taking it after indecision and weaving his way to the 25-yard line. So a little unsettled on the return game for Virginia, but once again, they dodge a mistake.
Fortunate there to dodge a mistake. And here are a few freaks that have made their way to the combine. And you look at the size and the speed, and of course there's my sidekick, Joseph Scott Galloway, down there at the bottom.
4-1-8.
And that's legit. 4-1-8 right here by Joseph Scott out of Ohio State. That's legitimate. 40-inch vertical. You guys are cutting him short there a couple inches. The sad thing is he's about 38 years old, and he's still, I think those numbers are still about the same down there for the Tampa Bay.
But your point is when Johnson gets
Calvin Johnson will break all of those records. He will put on a performance it's unprecedented based on what we're hearing from his coaches.
Sewell tucks it, tries to run, and able to squirt free for about 7 yards. Now, whether he comes out after this season or next season, the question, the party line is here that he wants to get his degree and he's going to stay for all 4, but he's clearly a junior that could be one of the top 2 or 3 players drafted if he decides to come out. That's no secret. We're not trying to talk him into coming out. He knows that here. He knows it too.
Yeah, we're all proponents of players making decisions on their own, and each case is, it's looked at with the family members, and Calvin Johnson will have to evaluate things after the year, but physically he's one of the most special players that we've seen in a long time in the college game.
Georgia Tech showing pressure from 3 different places on 2nd and 4. And the young quarterback, did he get the playoff in time? I don't think so.
First time we've seen quarterback struggle with the play clock. I think it's going to be delay of game here.
Dead ball foul, delay of game, number 10 of the offense, 5-yard penalty, and it's still 2nd down.
Yep, so the defensive confusion kind of negates that nice gain on 1st down. Our Affleck trivia question tonight, the 11 former NFL coaches who are now college head coaches, which of them has the most NFL playoff wins? A bunch of guys have made the move. It's a major trend, of course. Wannstedt, Pete Carroll, others, total of 11. Who's got the most playoff wins? And once again, that offensive line that is rebuilt and really struggled. Ian Yates Cunningham, the right guard, coming out of his stance.
Prior to the snap, false start, 77 of the offense, 5-yard penalty. It's still 2nd down.
If you want to drive Al Groh crazy, be in a position to execute on 2nd down and then have a delay of game and then a false start. And now instead of 2nd and 4, you're looking at 2nd and 14.
They had gained 6 yards on that 1st down. It's wiped away. 4 receivers now. Empty backfield for Sewell. Flips it out short. Michael Johnson, tailback there, run out of bounds on the far side by Jones, the safety.
Chris, I don't even know at this point, as with Jamil Sewell making his first start, he's going up against one of the more complex defenses in the country. Al Groh has to simplify things so much that Sewell is just reacting to John Tenuta's defense and what John Tenuta has called for. It takes your playbook and you cut it to in about a quarter of what you can call with a young quarterback and a young offensive line. That's why it makes it so hard to execute. You don't have the whole playbook to call from.
Pressure on 3rd and 9, you think. The ball batted down to the line of scrimmage. It was Wheeler diving in there trying to get the interception, and K. Michael Hall in the blitz got his hand on it.
They are bringing pressure, and it's like blood in the water for this defense when they get Virginia, the young offensive line, and the young quarterback to 3rd down, and K. Michael Hall has been all over the field here in this first half. putting pressure on Sewell.
There's Olsen, the former starter, trying to offer words of encouragement, but in 5 possessions under Sewell so far tonight, 4 3-and-outs. Once again, they call on Chris Gold to deliver. Low kick, bounces sideways. Once again, Gold not able to really pin back Georgia Tech. When we come back, we're going to relive one of the great games in ACC history involving these 2 teams and a piece of a national championship. It was a classic in 1990. Bobby Ross and Georgia Tech visiting then #1 Virginia. Sean Moore tries to get into the end zone. They break it up, settle for a field goal, tied it at 38. But then Scott Sisson of Georgia Tech puts the Jackets up. The desperation heave with 000s on the clock from Moore, incomplete. He had the lacrosse lines on the field there in Charlottesville. But Georgia Tech goes in there and knocks off #1. Eventually, they get a piece of the national championship in 1990 with Colorado. One of the great games in the history of this league. And get your wish. It's a short one, but at least they find Calvin.
Got him the ball. Got him the football. Georgia Tech didn't win that outright in 90?
No, they got a piece of it. The coaches gave it to Georgia Tech, and
Okay.
Colorado got the AP vote.
Okay.
Now, you saw Bobby Ross there. He is the answer to our Aflac trivia question. The 11 former NFL head coaches, now college head coaches. He has the most playoff wins, leading the Chargers to the Super Bowl.
It was a good one.
Yeah, it was.
Kind of threw me off there.
If you win a bunch of playoff games in the pros, you're probably not back in college coaching. That's the kind of the twist. Ball incomplete. In and out of the hands. He had 2 chances to catch it, Greg Smith. Initially, then Marcus Hamilton was there. They knocked it around, and Smith had another chance but couldn't come up with it. Nate Lyles, the safety, also there in coverage. They continue to look for other guys despite good coverage.
Well, it's good to see Greg Smith, the freshman, having a chance to make a play. I really thought Marcus Hamilton was going to take the ball away and intercept it. Reggie Ball, with his reaction, frustrated, but at the same time, Chris, that's what Virginia needs. We were talking about that in the first quarter. That's what they need, a spark, give themselves something to give them some hope here to try to get back in the game.
Well, Hamilton has 2 of the 3 takeaways this defense has this season. He's the guy who can be a playmaker. Missed opportunity there, and instead they come back to Calvin Johnson for a nice sketch, first down yardage at the 41. Now Patrick Nix and Reggie Ball are trying to get him involved.
Thank you. Now they're starting to find him. He's been in one-on-one coverage. If you keep a track at home, my man's been in one-on-one coverage all night. This time he's going up against a big corner in Cook. Nice move to the inside. And see, that's the thing we didn't talk about when we put that 3D dimension on his height, weight, speed. His hands are enormous. And he catches most balls with his hands. He does not use his shoulder pads.
His parents there. They run a tight ship.
Oh, boy.
And they certainly raised Calvin right.
Oh, they sure did.
Here comes the reverse, and Grant has it. Tries to get a block from Ball there, but a loss on the play. Kind of a tough ask. The quarterback trying to block a linebacker.
Grab his hair there? Did he grab his hair to pull him down, or did he pull his shoulder pads down? I thought he got a piece of the hair there.
There's a lot to grab.
That's what I'm saying. I thought he went for the takedown.
If you're going to have it hanging out there, it almost invites it.
It did. And what does he get a hold of here? No, shoulder pads.
Shoulder pads.
Shoulder pads. I thought, ouch.
Be a haircut tomorrow morning if that got the hair.
Mercy. We had a flag down. I thought, pulling the hair. I've never seen that one.
That's not a penalty.
I know.
You didn't get the hair anyway. And it's going to be in the Jackets, I believe, not on the tackle.
61 on the offense, clipping. 15 yards, previous spot, repeat the down.
It's Matt Rhodes, the guard. 24 straight starts for this veteran, but they got him that time.
These ACC officials all over it tonight, doing a great job. It seems like every talk show you listen to, I'm sure you've been on them this week, everybody wants to talk about the officiating in the LSU-Auburn game and the Oklahoma-Oregon game, and not only on the field, but of course up in the replay booth. It's been a hot topic this week. tonight.
We talked to the two replay officials here. Very interesting, illuminating chat on the system and some of the differences between what they have in the Pac-10 and what they have in the ACC. Here's ball now. Tries to find running room up the middle. Still scooting around, and finally Alan Billick, the nose tackle there. So lots of designed runs for Ball tonight up that 130-yard rushing performance a week ago.
You know what, which is a good thing. I've been critical tonight of Reggie Ball when he's not looking initially for Calvin Johnson, but when it comes to overall his decision making on the night, when it comes to his feet and taking some of the pressure off of Calvin Johnson, he's been very, very solid. He's made good decisions. But I think when he should look first and foremost at 21 to see if he's isolated one-on-one and try to get him the ball.
And Cook at the bottom of your screen, no help from the safety against Calvin Johnson. I think he was looking there. They'll spot him down. Ball was pressured by Jermaine Dias there on the blitz. They'll rule it a sack, but Calvin Johnson did have single coverage there. I thought Ball was looking to his right. The pressure came.
Well, this time it was good pressure from Dias, Chris. But here's a great illustration of how important it is to have a running back willing to block. Tashard Choice just lowers his head and dives at Dias, and Dias is big enough and athletic enough to go right around him. And this is Calvin Johnson again, one-on-one. I like my odds right there.
Yeah.
You know, just as he's starting to separate, even though Cook, who I think is a good corner, he's big and he's physical, put it up in the air when you have time to let him make a play.
Unlikely to get single coverage now in 3rd and 32. Ball drifting to that side of the field. A flag is down as he's forced out at the 37. So after a promising start to this drive, the Jackets have just been marching in reverse. And this will be a holding call. Likely to decline it. Chance to really put away perhaps Virginia with some points on this drive, and instead mistakes.
Mistakes. I just saw Al Groh point to take it. And Chris, you're saying decline it to force the 4th down. I'm thinking every yard for the white jerseys right now is a positive yard. Is he going to decline this to get the punt?
Pretty unusual on 3rd and a mile to take a holding penalty.
It's a good gain for them.
Holding 48 of the offense. That penalty is refused. 4th down.
I'm thinking when he pointed back, I thought, man, he just wants, that's 10 positive yards going in the other direction.
That's one way of looking at it. I guess when you're 112th in offense and dropping,
well, tonight,
you do tend to rethink. I mean, they have 34 yards tonight.
12 yards rushing. They have 1 first down in the first half. So that's why I was saying it wouldn't have surprised me to see them maybe take the yards just to push them back. I don't think their 2-minute drill offense is going to be able to do much against John Tenuta's defense.
Grant Brooks has been an effective punter tonight. It's Emmanuel Byers who let it bounce. And this offense now, which has done nothing all night. Only 92 yards to go to pay dirt here with 2:23 to go in the first half. But I want to enlist the brilliant minds in that studio to come up with a second-half offensive game plan for the Cavaliers. If we can get Coach Holtz to kind of draw up some ball plays, see what we can do for young Jamil Sewell in the second half.
Yeah, that might be helpful. At this point, I'm thinking killing the clock would be a good thing here to end this half.
You know, Virginia has such an excellent history of offensive skill people all over NFL rosters. This clearly welcome back. Virginia has just run a play and a nice gain on first down for Jason Snelling, the physical runner over the right side, to buy some room for this offense, but they don't appear to be in a huge hurry here. Our Under Armour advantage is Philip Wheeler. He's a character. He's a very athletic, speedy, fierce-hitting linebacker for Georgia Tech, and the Jackets defense has certainly had its way with the struggling Virginia offense in the first half, and now a hit near the boundary. Will it draw a flag? Virginia calling for it. Need every yard they can get, but there is no flag.
The 14-yard gain by Snelling, their biggest play of the night.
There is a flag, but it wasn't on the tackle on the sideline. It's on the near side of the field. Another one of those offensive execution penalties. Al Groh spent the timeout kind of getting in the face of his offensive lineman. He's used to very good execution up there. A lot of talented linemen have come through here. Ron Prince, who now is the head coach at Kansas State, was the O-line coach until this year. And this is clearly a rebuilt offensive line with some growing pains against a tough defense.
Well, it is, and at times that they've had some opportunities to try to get a drive going, they've self-destructed with some penalties. This is not an offense that is equipped to be able to execute when they pick up some yardage, and all of a sudden a delay of the game or a legal procedure, and that's all part of the youth of this offensive line.
So 3 receivers, and 2nd and 15 instead. They hand off the football, and it's Snelling for a short gain. So on 2nd and 13, once again, Grove's going to hand it off to Snelling, who is stopped. He just wants to stay inbounds and force the Jackets to burn another timeout, which they do.
And now here it's Chan Gailey with another timeout. He's either going to decide to hold on to this one or burn the last one and force the punt. My guess is with a veteran quarterback and Reggie Ball, probably use this timeout after this running attempt by Virginia and get the ball back without any timeouts, but at least a chance to make again a play and get some points.
It's interesting. It's the worst possible time for Virginia to try to break in a new quarterback as they are tonight with the rebuilt offensive line, the lack of playmakers, and the way their schedule sets up. This 6-game run they're going into, this game is crucial just to have any chance at a winning season and a bowl game, Kirk. Their schedule is very, very tough down the road. They have to go to Virginia Tech. They have to go to Clemson. I mean, this is tough stuff, and this is important that they, Florida State throw that road game in there.
It's tough stuff at the end, as you said, after tonight. Duke, East Carolina, Maryland, North Carolina, and NC State are going to have to improve greatly on offense. But those games, if they were able to get on the run, could potentially get them to a 6-6 year. I don't like their chances in those last 3, and you didn't like their chance coming into tonight. But the way that conference has looked, if they can get better on offense, their defense could keep them competitive in those other 5.
So Snelling over the right side, stopped short of a first down. He's not down. Bounces up instead. He looked like he was headed to the ground, but stayed on his feet, and a nice, important first down gain for the senior from Chester, Virginia. 19 yards. That's their best play of the night.
Well, now we're going to get a chance to see the replay booth here because they went over it in pregame with us. Every time there's a close call, they'll take a look. I want to see his right knee. If his right knee touched, and it did, chances are they're going to go back and look at this one. These guys, the replay crew, are dialed in. They do a great job, and I bet you they'll stop it, and they're going to put it back.
See Virginia try to get up there and snap it very quickly. They could not fool Frank Cosman and Harold Mitchell, the 2 replay officials in the booth next to us here.
The previous play is under review.
All I know is the right knee from Snelling looked like it touched. And after going through a thorough, I'm talking thorough dissertation by the replay crew, I found out.
And demonstration. They showed us.
Demonstration. They walked us through it, how it works, how their system's a little bit different from the system that's used in the big.
You promised me a lightning quick review and a verdict here.
Well, I think after last weekend, they wanted to make sure they're going to move the ball back, and it's going to be 4th down.
After further review, there is indisputable evidence that the ball carrier's knee touched the ground at the 24-yard line. It'll be 4th down and 8 at the 24-yard line.
Gold has struggled with his last 2 punts. We'll see if he can get back on course here. The Jackets would like to take a chance at more points before half, and it hits a man having to dive on the ball at the 40-yard line. Heads up, because that would have been Virginia football and the kind of break they needed. Again, Gold delivering the short punt.
Remember now, change of possession. You got to get to the line of scrimmage here. Clock will start, and this is where we see the experience of Reggie Ball. He's already ready. The clock will start as soon as the umpire and the referee see that the ball has been spotted. That's the new rule, of course, this year in college football. Be ready to go, and Reggie Ball has them out there ready to roll.
It's taken 4 weeks, but now we're seeing some teams ready. Calvin Johnson in the slot. Ball has plenty of time and fires down the field. Johnson collects it and heads to the end zone.
Thank you.
That time, no mistake by Ball. He knew where to go, delivered a strike, And Johnson right in stride as mom and dad look on.
Great job by Patrick Nix moving moving Calvin Johnson around. He's been to the outside almost every snap. This time they moved him to the inside and got him down the vertical seam. And Hayville, again, one-on-one. And congratulations to Reggie Ball for finding him. One-on-one coverage with number 21. Lead him downfield, up in the air, and just let him run to the ball to make the play. Good throw. Congratulations to Calvin Johnson and Reggie Ball. But I love Patrick Nix, Chris, moving him to the inside this time, right there. He's using it. Look at the matchup against a safety. He'll take that every time. Nice play, nice throw. Touchdown, Georgia Tech.
His 4th touchdown of the season. That's his longest catch of the season, 58 yards.
Boy, the poor safety trying to match up there one-on-one. There's absolutely no chance there for Jamal Jackson. And you can see Reggie Ball. It's almost like, thank you. Connected. That's exactly what he wanted before getting to the halftime.
Pretty productive first half for Reggie Ball, the senior, and you can see K. Michael congratulating Johnson, who is so popular with his teammates. He's nothing like the typical pro and college superstar receiver, as we talked about earlier. Keeps the ego very much in check. He knows he's good. He knows he's potentially, 6-7 months away from being a really rich guy.
And there are the MVPs. The parents for Calvin Johnson absolutely have done. Every time I come to Atlanta to do a Georgia Tech game and sit down with Calvin Johnson, I just want to have a chance to meet his parents, because he is the most humble superstar I've ever met. Every player on this team loves Calvin Johnson, and that's rare, as you know, today in this day and age of any sport.
Michael Johnson on the return, trying to take his way to the 20-yard line. So Calvin Johnson, 5 catches for 99 yards. So much for the issue of that deep thigh bruise. He looks okay to us. And you can see he was celebrating a field goal after a 3-and-out, and now a nice moment with his quarterback. Momentary frustration early in this half for Johnson, who didn't get the ball his direction. But that time, when Georgia Tech pretty much was looking for the big play to perhaps put Virginia away, Johnson delivered. He's got a great smile, doesn't he?
He's got one of those Reggie Bush smiles, where not only is the NFL going to take care of him down the road, but the endorsements are going to be there for the big man too.
And this is Al Groh cutting bait, and Sewell just takes a knee. Have to snap it. No more in the first half. That'll be it. Johnson delivers the big play. The Jackets go up by 17, and Virginia will head to the locker room searching for answers on offense as their woes continue in that department. Throwback Thursday here at Georgia Tech, and it's the home team with a set. On Throwback Thursday, 5 catches for Calvin Johnson. Long touchdown drive for Tech. 3-and-out, but the short field results in a field goal, and then they strike to Johnson, line him up in the slot, and get that touchdown to go up 17-0. Total dominance by the Yellow Jackets in the first half in every category.
Yeah, it was. I mean, their defense played great, but I think the story in the first half was Reggie Ball. I mean, he was consistent. He made some good plays with his feet. He had a chance to make a catch, and then he finally started to look into his favorite target, Calvin Johnson. And Calvin Johnson, as we said, has the size to make a lot of plays. A little bit disgusted early, but it didn't let him get his head down. He just wants to have a chance to help his team. He's battling a deep thigh bruise, still has great speed, has great size, and this is a great throw by Reggie to get the ball to him to the outside, the size to go up and make a play. Here again, the hands, and then the Home Depot coaching adjustment. Throw the ball to 21, which they did there. Here's an idea of his strength. James Johnson, by the way, with some ups, and he gets knocked down by trying to celebrate with Calvin Johnson, who was pretty fired up after the big play.
And the press box here filled with NFL personnel. More than 15 teams represented, a total of 25 scouts. Now they're looking at other guys, but certainly a lot of attention on this guy tonight, even though he's a junior.
He's a junior, and every time we come in to do a Georgia Tech game, I guess in these last 3 years, the buzz at halftime is always about Calvin Johnson. And now that he is in his third year with the potential of coming out early, you don't know for sure, but if he does come out early, he will be a top 5 pick in the draft if he decides to come out early.
Mohamed Yayawi to kick off for Georgia Tech. Pearman and Johnson are deep, and it's Pearman at the 2. More of a north-south kickoff returner. He gets to the 23-yard line. To the field, and Aaron Andrews.
All right, Chris, well, I had a chance to speak to Al Groh on his way out from the locker room. He said here in the second half, we will find out who is a football player and who is not a football player. He said our offensive line needs to step up. For Jameel, he told me he just simply needs to calm down, and he simply told him, look, this is the time you're going to have to learn to work things out, work circumstances out on your own. Now, guys, I did have a chance to speak with Chan Gailey as well for Georgia Tech, and I asked him about the fact that Calvin Johnson didn't get the ball to the very end of the first half, and he said simply, we didn't practice him all week long because he was out with that thigh bruise. We were just going with our game plan, but he said, looks like the game plan has changed now after that last touchdown.
Well, we'll see what the Virginia game plan has in store. Immediate pressure. Sewell knocked to the ground. Flipped incomplete. Intended for Jason Snelling. Interesting, you know, if Gross sticks with Jamil Sewell here, Kirk, in the second half, it says a couple of things. Number one, it shows you how badly Chris Olsen, the starter at the beginning of the season for the first 3 games, is struggling. And the fact that he just wants to be so patient with Sewell because it's going to be perhaps his team for the next few years if he can handle it.
Well, I think you have to. Once you make a pretty cool there to hear him calling the plays, but once you make a commitment to go with a freshman to start on the road, I think it's counterproductive to pull him out after a tough first half.
Pressure, and there's Sewell showing the quickness. Stutter steps about 8 yards.
Well, see, and that's what he has to provide for this offense. What you lose in experience from Christian Olsen, you gain in mobility and creativity. And right now, it's not just the quarterback that's struggling. For the most part, first and foremost for Al Groh, it's his offensive line. And when you don't have an offensive line that can establish a running game, which they've done since Al Groh's been in Charlottesville, it puts pressure on every other aspect of this offense. So it's not just the quarterback, it's the entire offense starting up front.
On third down, deep handoff and a rugged run by Snelling to pick up yardage across the 35. See where they spot it with that yellow line. Looks like a Virginia first down, and that is a cause for celebration. Hey, first down after only 2 in the first half.
There we go. They've got to get something to get their confidence going. That's a good way to start.
Sewell with their first down throw, pump fakes, and now launches it deep, has a man wide open, but just missing Fontel Mines is the young guy. He had him open early, single coverage out there.
Well, that time on an aggressive defense, they caught him with exactly what they wanted. A little bit of a pump and go, and Mines has to be able to make this play. Goes right by him. He's known as a possession receiver, a reliable receiver. Ball's thrown a little bit to the outside, which is where you want it, but ideally, for a veteran receiver, he's able to, at the very least, secure the ball. The issue should be, is he going to get his feet down? Not, is he going to make the catch? That would have been a big play, obviously, for the Cavs.
Ward Daniel was beaten badly on that move. Second down, again, off the hands of the receiver. It's Mines once again, just not able to come up with it and help out his young quarterback.
Every little throw and every little opportunity Virginia has to learn from and grow from. But right here, you see senior and Fontel Mines, who's known as has a reliable set of hands the last 2 plays. They would have been tough catches, don't get me wrong. But you have to make those plays to help your young quarterback.
They show heavy pressure on third down, and again, incomplete off the hands of Ogletree. That one was delivered high as the Jackets came quickly.
Well, they had 2 chances there, and kind of breaking a trend there, throwing on 1st and 10, and that's why it works so well. The pump and go, where they were able to beat Ward Daniels, they just unable to execute, had their opportunity, and now they're forced to punt.
Chris Gold, very active, but his last 3 punts all under 35 yards.
Getting tired. Legs getting tired.
Could be. Yeah, he started out great, but they've worn down the punter. That's what Corso's defenses used to try to do. Again, it got a kick that Andrew Smith wants nothing to do with. He chooses to throw his little 195-pound body part of the coverage team, just to kind of, he's frustrated. Hadn't had a chance to return these punts, have been too short.
Andrew Smith, a little chippy.
He gets right in there, and Appleby, the linebacker, that one did roll 42 yards. You can see they had a chance on first down, got the coverage, got a pretty good throw. Could have been made, and then Mines here. He got to make this catch.
The pump and go, and then that time Mines leaving his feet in 3rd and 10 against this Georgia Tech defense. You don't like your chances there. They tried to flare it to the outside Ogletree. But again, missed opportunities for this young Virginia offense.
Rashard Choice corralled there by Sinton after a short gain.
I loved what Al Gross said to Aaron Andrews at halftime about a lot like Ralph Regent of Maryland in the second half against West Virginia, although it worked for Maryland because they did come out and compete. Al Gross wants to find out who wants to help his team not only tonight but this year, and he's going to find out who the Warriors are and who's shutting it down, especially on the defense. That's the strength of the team.
You know, the way the offense is playing, the defense is almost going to have to pitch a shutout here in the second half to have any chance of winning this game. As long as those odds seem with the offense stumbling around. Copper on the stop. The 3rd down and short for Georgia Tech. So you think that they'll have the big picture in mind and stick with Sewell throughout, no matter what happens tonight. Just put this game on the back burner. Say it's going to be tough anyway, regardless of what quarterback we use, and try to build confidence for this guy in future games.
I think that Sewell is in there because the other quarterbacks were not getting it done. And for him to get asked to start tonight on the road after this team losing to Western Michigan when they couldn't do anything as far as execution was concerned last week, I don't think that first half was that awful by Jamil Sewell to say that he needs to be taken out. His numbers aren't great, but this is a collective effort by Virginia. That's what I'm saying. It's not like he has open receivers all over the place and he's missing them. The receivers have struggled at times, the offensive line, the running game. And it's across the board, and I don't think he's playing poorly to be able to pull him out of the game.
So 3rd and inches for Tech. It's a Virginia offense that has not scored this few points in its first 3 games since '78. He had 3 touchdowns in 3 games. So, and none in the second half, by the way. It's a bad news for Virginia.
That wasn't a very good tease.
Well, I'm just trying to say, numbers.
I mean,
I could give a recitation of ugly offensive numbers here if you'd like, but I'll stop right there. I mean, there's only 119 schools in 1A.
Yeah.
So you can't be worse than 119th in any offensive category. But they're going to flirt with that across the board unless they pick it up in the second half.
The memo I had in our August meetings was focus in on the time spent viewing. And here in the second half, instead of focusing in on Virginia's lack of production.
Calvin Johnson
here.
might make another play.
That's true.
All right, that's one thing you got.
You got this freshman quarterback who I think is a playmaker. You never know what he's capable of doing.
Yeah, that's true. There's Johnson on the receiving end. This ball just throws it up. The big guy gets it. Can he get to the end zone? Yes. That's the reason to keep watching, Herb Street.
And that's the Home Depot coaching adjustment at halftime. Throw it up in the air and let 21 run underneath it.
That's why you don't tune out. There's a 21.
Well, hopefully he'll stay in long enough or we'll get a chance to see him make a few more plays. The parents are very excited of Calvin Johnson. And Reggie Ball threw this well before. It's a little out, little stutter and go. And, you know, the way he is able to make the catch, and then there's a look at his speed with a deep thigh bruise and able to get downfield after he makes the catch. So, touchdowns, 54 and 66 yards for Johnson, 165 yards. He's studying put on hold here as the body painting ordeal this afternoon at Georgia Tech, and they're being rewarded with a nice show from Reggie Ball, the senior quarterback. And another guy is Georgia native, Calvin Johnson, career high 165 yards and a couple of quick touchdowns. Caught that pass at the end of the first half, and now the 4th play of the Jackets' first drive of the second half in the end zone again. This in a game when he didn't even know how much he could go with the deep thigh bruise, didn't practice all week. Maybe that's a new trend for him. Quick striking ability tonight by Georgia Tech's offense, especially into the half there. And now here early.
Michael Johnson bouncing off some people, fighting forward. A flag comes in late as he's stopped at the 23. And once again, the special teams for Virginia, an area they really needed to have an edge in tonight, with the offense struggling, letting them down.
Well, Calvin had a chance to make a play, and a lot of it had to do with how Virginia was playing him as far as the secondary. Secondary that time decided to bring pressure. They left Calvin alone, and when you leave Calvin Johnson alone, you know, it's not very productive. Linebacker comes, you get the safety that walks up, and now you have a receiver all by himself, one of the best in the country, against the corner, Marcus Hamilton. But what speed that he had once he made the catch to take it the distance and get the ball into the end zone.
Johnson's gone beyond 2,000 career receiving yards now, Aaron. We'll hear from Aaron Andrews in just a second. You see Sewell fake the pitch, wrestled down at the 10-yard line. Philip Wheeler there.
Hey, there we go.
EA, what do you have down there, girl?
Well, guys, you've been talking about Calvin Johnson, how humble he is, the fact that he's going to make millions of dollars pretty darn soon. But how about this? How about a summer job? Building latrines for the poor in South America this past summer. Now, it was a joint venture between Georgia Tech and Emory University here in Atlanta in efforts to fight disease in third world countries. He worked with Tech senior Brad Davis on the project, guys. And coming up in January, he's actually going to go to Bolivia and see how his project worked out for him. So you don't see many superstars in the making, ones that are going to make a lot of money in the NFL doing this kind of grunt work in the summer.
It's kind of too good to be true, this guy, isn't he?
Total package. Goes back to the way his parents raised him. Great job that they continue to do with him here at school as well.
Mom gets up for the Jackets defense now on 3rd and 4 for Virginia. Just try to get it with Snelling on a basic run to the left side, and he's not going to get there as Darrell Robertson has played a good game at defensive end there for the stop.
This defense has kind of taken a back seat to what we've seen from Calvin Johnson and Reggie Ball in the Georgia Tech offense. But you almost start to just take it for granted. And we've been looking at Virginia, talking about, you know, they're young on the offensive line, and young at quarterback. And John Tenuta told us yesterday, as a defensive coordinator at Georgia Tech, that with that youth, we've got to bring pressure. And obviously it's working pretty well for him and his defense.
Again, over the years, Tenuta defenses have confused veteran quarterbacks.
Had Brady Quinn on his heels for a half.
Already the 8th punt for Golden. It's a low one. Andrew Smith is going to pop somebody. He's getting frustrated. No chance to return all these punts from goal, which are these low line drivers. Didn't throw his body at somebody. Can save. And right. Georgia Tech up 24-0 with the football again in Virginia territory at the 41 after the personal foul on the punt. Ball with Calvin Johnson not in the game, fires back across the field, and a catch made by the tailback Tashard Choice to the 30, first down.
We're getting a good look tonight at Calvin Johnson and what he can do. And if I had to revisit this, maybe he has a chance now that he's getting the ball to look at the top 5 players chasing a Heisman, and Troy Smith out in front right now so early in this. But Adrian Peterson, of course, the big game, but the loss last week, the Heisman Trophy has as much to do with the team as anything, but he was just a bull with the way he ran. Steve Slayton, of course, Chris Leak, Mike Hart, all these guys, some impressive performances in big games early this year.
Choice tries to bounce it, but he's dropped for a short loss. I don't agree. I think Peterson, the loss hurts him a little tiny bit, but his performance against Oregon in the fourth quarter, to me, Heisman stock up.
But Heisman stock up, but the team, Chris, you're the king of the Heisman. You know, if they show up 8-4 or 9-3.
Yeah. If he plays like that every game and they go 9-3, he's got not a quarterback, but a running back.
When was the last time a running back won the Heisman who was not ranked in the top 10? Their team wasn't ranked in the top 10. Was that Ricky Williams back in the mid to late 90s?
Got to be a respectable team, but you don't have to be a great team. You don't have to be in the top 10. Ball ducks under the rush, but it slips to the ground for a sack. Let's go to Reese Davis in the studio.
All right, Chris, not quite making the Heisman discussion, but he is a singular All-America Player of the Week. Michigan wide receiver Mario Manningham, 4 catches, 137 yards, 3 touchdowns in the Wolverines' victory in South Bend. He wins honors as a singular All-America Player of the Week, and you can get in on the voting each and every week. All you have to do is text VOTE to 87654 on your singular wireless phone to vote and to enter for a chance to win a trip to the national championship game.
Reese, Manningham doing his Calvin Johnson impression against the Irish, exploiting the corners. Ball fires, and it's off the hands of Greg Smith on 3rd and a mile.
And the freshman says, wow, that ball was coming hard.
Greg Smith, another local kid. That wasn't going to make the first 10 anyway. As Calvin continues to socialize and log miles on the bike over there. I hope we haven't seen the last of him. Keep me going here.
No, he's not done yet. I can promise you that.
He can? All right, yeah. Good. Make a call. Brooks to punt. Emmanuel Byers back at his 10-yard line.
Chan wouldn't do that to us. He's got a lot of football left.
Durant boots it high, angles it for the sidelines, knocks it out of bounds, but it's not going to be inside the 20, I don't think. They'll walk it out to about the 23-yard line. All right, Kirk, let's check that Applebee's weekend menu. See what we got in the weekend after Separation Saturday. Some interesting ball games in Big Ten country. Penn State and Ohio State Lions 17-point underdogs in a place where they rarely play well.
Well, following College Game Day live from Columbus, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon. Ohio State, Penn State later at 3:30, but game day will be there. Notre Dame, Michigan State, ABC primetime, and Wisconsin, Michigan, of course, follows game day, which would be fun to see how Wisconsin's defense tries to slow down that Michigan offense.
Ogletree slammed to the turf by Kenny Scott after the short completion. So the 3-year starter at corner, an aggressive tackle there.
Michael Hart, the spark plug for Michigan. I'm talking about the emotions of a team that was 7-5 last year. I don't think you can look at these numbers and say, boy, look what he's able to do when they win. What doesn't show up in the stats is what he provides in the locker room, what he provides in the huddle is so important to Michigan because Michigan's battling upstairs, and they showed it last week.
Cavs could use a guy like that in their team, and Fontel Mines finally hauls one, and he juggled that one, but doesn't drop it and has a first down.
But they do pick up the first down, which is a positive here. Here we go, Cavs. Come on.
I'm not sure who that pass was intended for. It might have been intended for the tight end, but instead it goes to Mines.
That's what I said.
Whatever. Somebody called
first down. Doesn't matter.
Sewell fires this side. Now, once again, Mines collects this one, about an 8-yard gain.
Mines making the tough catches. A couple tough drops earlier in the half. He makes the catches here. Now it's 2nd and short. I wanted to finish up one thing about when I said Michael Hart. And when I said Michigan's battling, sometimes follow a 7-5 year when your school is proud as Michigan. To me, all 5 losses where they had to lead in the 4th quarter, that has psychological ramifications. And I think that's what they revisited in the offseason. And that's why he is so important to what they're doing this year.
Saw a shot of Howie Long, still watching the Cavaliers. His son Chris resting on defense as Sewell goes and finds Mines one more time, and he almost slips out of a tackle. Got him by the shoe at the 40-yard line. Ward Daniels on the tackle, and all of a sudden Fontel Mines active there after a couple of drops.
And Howie Long, he can't sit. You know, you have a son out on the field trying to make plays, and his team is down. Former player Howie Long wants to have a chance to just get away and have a chance to just collect his thoughts watching his son play in a game tonight. But here, you know, again, you were talking about replacing the quarterback. Here you get an idea when he has a chance to set his feet and make a throw. He's got plenty of arm strength.
Sewell fires far side, and that's Mike Robertson. We're going to rule it a catch right at the 30-yard line, which is where the first down marker is.
With Sewell in these last 3 or 4 throws is, number one, he's had time. We'll have to take a close look. Woo!
just the big toe got down. It looked like it was close to that line. We may take another look at that one. We'll have to wait and see. But Chris, good idea of his arm strength here in these last 4 throws, and they've given him time, which has been the important thing.
Same to the tight end in motion to the top of the formation. Play action. Sewell took a quick look and then tucks it up in the short game. Not many receivers in that pattern. When there was good coverage, he had nowhere to go but to run it.
Yeah, in fact, I talked to Al Groh today, and he said that one of the things they did was Sewell last year, when he was redshirting, was to put him on Wednesday in practice and let him take 4 or 5 snaps with the team, the first team offense, even though he's redshirting, much like the Bengals did, Al Groh said, with Carson Palmer in the first year he was behind John Kitna, with the hopes that he would blossom and become the guy this year.
That pass batted down as K. Michael Hall came flying through on the blitz. The Jackets defense, a flag on the play, clearly inspired to try to preserve this shutout. And Virginia once again hurting itself.
Reason they're inspired beyond their own competitiveness is the guy upstairs calling the defense.
Think you'd like a shutout in the conference opener?
Yeah.
Mr. Tenuta?
I think John Tenuta would be pretty excited if they're able to shut this Virginia offense down.
Virginia able to finally generate something on this drive. They had only 2 first downs in the first half and beginning to pile up some yards and a little possession time, but it's getting late here in the third quarter, down 24-0. And the penalty marches them way back. 23 yards in on the first down. Sewell's going to heave it over the head of Mines there. Good coverage by Ward Daniels that time.
I'll tell you, the guy who has been all over the field today is K. Michael Hall, 35, linebacker. Philip Wheeler, I think, sent a message to the whole country that as a linebacker in this scheme, you have a chance to make plays. But tonight, it's been K. Michael Hall, who's a veteran, very intelligent. When you look at Hall and Wheeler together, gives them a nice combination there. But K. Michael Hall, known for his versatility in playing different positions, but tonight we're seeing great speed and great instinct as he seems to be applying a lot of pressure on Sewell.
Jackets send pressure late over the middle. The catch is made by Ogletree, but he will set up about a 4th and 10 at the Jackets 30. So they will try to dodge the shutout and send out Noah Greenbaum, who will be a field goal kicker for the first time this season. He was 1 for 1 last year, and he replaces Gold tonight as the field goal kicker. And this one from 47 yards. It's been that kind of night for the Cavaliers. Still scoreless in Atlanta for Virginia's offense, and Georgia Tech will take over. When you come out. We've seen some great offensive performances showcased on Thursday night. It's been pretty easy to pick the player of the game every week.
Yeah, the last 3 weeks, Ian Johnson exploded onto the scene with his performance. Steve Slayton in the first half alone, and then Calvin Johnson tonight, once they got on track and found ways to get him the ball. Calvin's had a big night too.
Joyce takes the option pitch and is dropped for a loss. Good job flying up there. Make the stop by Tony Franklin, his safety. These guys have played well enough to earn a shutout. Georgia Tech defensive starters. Always check the huddle. We don't see Calvin Johnson on the field out there. Maybe they've decided to call it a night with that deep thigh bruise. They hand it off. Joyce looking for room. Squirts free, spins across the 35. Once again, Franklin there on the stop.
Tackle by number 3, Marcus Hamilton.
Let's go to Aaron with the proud parents of Calvin Johnson.
Chris, I am right now, and I'll get Mr. Calvin Johnson Sr. to step up for a second if I ask you a couple questions. We've been talking all night just about how humble your son is, and Chan Gailey saying he learned that from mom and dad. What is one life lesson you really tried to teach him as he was growing up?
Well, it's fairly basic, nothing profound, no more than when you're blessed with talent, you try to be humble, make the best of it. You even when well, it's simple. You just do the best that you can at all times. And he happened. Things came together. He came together with talent, with opportunity, and he took advantage of it. That's basically it. But it's just nothing really profound. Nothing.
And of course, we have to give credit to Mom, who said she's going to let Dad answer the questions. Mrs. Johnson just earned her PhD recently. Now, your son getting written up by national magazines on national TV. We've heard scouts are looking at him. How do you keep him humble now, Dad?
Well, simply just keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
Don't let it go to your head. Don't let it change you. And you don't. And he's got you just simply to whom much is given, much is expected. That's all.
Thank you so much, Chris.
You saw Mr. Johnson there, happy to talk about his son, but concerned about the Jackets' turnover. Virginia recovering that. Fourth quarter begins in Atlanta with the Jackets' first turnover of the night to close the third quarter. Choice fumbling it and Jermaine Dias recovering. They reviewed it to see if the Virginia player had grabbed it while it's still inbounds and determined that he had. So Virginia now set up at the 29-yard line with a first down. Sewell pump fakes, flips it out short, and a great job sniffing it out there. Cedric Pierman, the tailback, hauling in the screen, but once again, K. Michael Hall in the neighborhood. Adam Oliver, they call the machine, junior defensive end, also there on the tackle. So the first takeaway for Virginia.
Chris, I want you to watch Adam Oliver just kind of sink into the zone. This is John Tenuta's defense, zone blitz. As a defensive end, dropping into coverage, perfect position, and a great call that time by John Tenuta to sink that defensive end into coverage. He got into position to be able to come up and make a good play for a loss of 4.
There's so many negative yardage plays for Virginia on offense tonight. Instant pressure and hammered and dropped for a sack. Darrell Robertson there. And once again, K. Michael Hall came with the pressure. What a night he's having.
K. Michael Hall has been coming from every different angle. And that's what John Tenuta tries to do, is give you a variety of looks and bring the pressure. And this time he comes from the outside to the left. He's able to slip a tight end. And there's Robertson. There's K. Michael Hall. It's a big party in the backfield there meeting the quarterback.
And now there's a flag down. But Robertson really has been exceptional.
Personal foul, face mask, number 90 of the defense.
Until that personal foul.
15-yard penalty,
I think
automatic first down.
He came clean. He came through clean. He just got a hold. He got a hold of the face mask when he pulled the quarterback down. K. Michael Hall gets in there second, but right there,
Yep.
yanks the face mask and
didn't need to because he had his arm around him.
Yeah, these are the kind of breaks Virginia could have used about 2.5 hours ago. This is what they needed, recovering a fumble, getting the short field, catching a break, and all of a sudden now they're into the red zone. Still waiting for the play, and the play clock's down to 10 seconds. They better hurry up.
Running off the right side is Pierman, who's now spelled Jason Snelling, a tailback.
This is where you get into the pride of a defense. Georgia Tech has the game at hand. Now it's kind of a game within a game. Look at John Tenuta. I'm telling you right now, he's as competitive right now to try to secure a shutout as he is. Look at it. Look at it. Is to win this game. He wants the shutout. He wants his guys to keep competing.
Now they're competing. And once again, it's Adam Oliver corralling Sewell. Lose about a yard. It'll be officially a sack and third and long. bring lots of pressure. This time Sewell gets it away, throws for the end zone, incomplete. He was looking for Ogletree, covered by Kenny Scott. And the young guy not getting a ton of help from his receivers tonight.
That's the second time that we've seen the receivers drop a big play downfield. Earlier it was Fontel Mines, and this time Ogletree, who coming into tonight's game, probably their most productive receiver, makes a move to the outside. You got to secure the ball. That's against Kenny Scott, the best corner from Georgia Tech. He sees that ball in the air. He's thinking touchdown. Frustration. Look at the eyes. Okay, caught a break. Let's try to stop him here on 4th down.
So they don't go for the field goal to get on the board. Instead, go for it on 4th and 8. Sewell looks to the end zone again, wide open, and there's a little redemption for Ogletree, touchdown. The other side, dropped it on the left, wide open on the right, and a 4th down conversion, and Grove's team finally on the board.
You know, it's a little thing, but seriously, it's a big play for the young quarterback. They got good field position. They caught a break with a face mask. They moved the ball into the red zone, and look at the time that he has to throw. That's the reason this play worked. That play took a long time in developing, and John Tenuta will look back at that one and try to learn from it, but it's a small thing, but a huge step for a young offensive line that gave the quarterback time. And Jamil Sewell, congratulations on that throw. He needed that.
Well, it's Throwback Thursday here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes.
Big Georgia Tech game. And what other way to throw it back or throw it down than with Andre from Outcast and all his boys around me. Now, all right, now, Snoop Dogg, big USC fan, but who do you root for being from Atlanta?
I'm a Tech fan for sure. You know, it's hometown. I got a lot of great teams. I mean, you got Penn State, I got Ohio, you got USC for sure. I'm a big Michigan fan. Like, I'm just a fan of the game, really. But Calvin
Johnson Heisman.
already.
Now you're saying Calvin Johnson for Heisman. Can you give us a little jingle, a little like tune for Calvin Johnson?
I can't give you no jingle, but I can tell you for sure that boy is playing. Georgia Tech, GT all day long. Number 41, there it is.
Oh, 40.
22.
Well, 21 is Calvin Johnson. You mentioned you like Penn State. They're going up against the number 1 team in the nation.
Homeboy right there.
Oh, absolutely.
There
he is. Penn State going up against Ohio State. What do you like about that game?
That's going to be a good one. That's going to be a good one. I can tell. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and go with Ohio for sure.
It created a mob scene on the Tech bench. The Jackets want to get out and get close to Andre 3000.
Oh!
Again, Virginia's starting to play
Bobcats
now.
play Missouri this week. Ohio University. Bobcats.
Ohio's short for Ohio State.
Oh, okay.
He meant the Scarlet and Gray. Don't worry about it. How can you like Michigan and Ohio State?
How do you like them? We like them.
All right, we like to go to 3 statements for the 30 and 30.
All right, Ohio.
I think the first documented case of Ohio State and Michigan fandom. A lot of Big Papi fans in Boston. He had a couple of home runs against the Twins. The first one setting a Red Sox single-season record. He now has 52. Oh, by the way, Twins lose the game, so they gain no ground in their race in the AL Central wild card. Jason Giambi, small ligament tear in his left wrist. Expected to miss the next series, but not expected to miss the postseason. Sports Center after the game, guys.
Reese, thank you. Reggie Ball's still throwing, and Calvin Johnson back in the game, but that ball bounces on through. That's the first time they've thrown in his direction. The catch hasn't been made, and no chance on that one.
Well, with this time, I'm going to cut him a little slack. He's been out, and after the big touchdown, I think he's with a deep thigh bruise. They've taken him off the field for the most part, but with the Virginia score, they're going to get him back out there. Illegal man downfield for Georgia Tech. I don't care. They're singling him. Throw it to him. Let's see what happens. And when they did that before the half and to start the second half, he's come up with 2 big plays.
Virginia really contained Calvin Johnson in last year's win. Hadn't had a big career against them so far, but busting out here tonight. Grant, short gain as they don't throw it on 3rd and long, and Nix and Gailey like to just punt it away. Gailey, known as an offensive mastermind, really a progressive thinker when he was in the NFL. But as time has gone on, he's realized he can't be quite as up on things as some of these younger coaches. Thus the decision to step away.
You could tell that was a really tough decision for him, losing control of that. And for him to be willing to admit that and give the reins to Patrick Nix, pretty impressive.
The bowl blowout loss. Good showcase here for Georgia Tech as they look to go to 3-1 in their first conference game. Virginia trying to build on that touchdown in the previous possession, and broken up there by Vic Hall, the backup corner, as finally Tenuta has gone to some reserves on defense. Check it, it's Jamal Lewis breaking it up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Georgia Tech next Saturday, taking on Virginia Tech. Remember last year, game day, we traveled to Blacksburg for that game, and for whatever reason, the way the ACC schedule works out, Georgia Tech again has to go to Blacksburg to take on Virginia Tech, and that'll be an interesting game. We're going to find out a lot more about Virginia Tech and a lot more about Georgia Tech in that game next week.
Yeah, I mean, that was a tough afternoon for Reggie Ball.
Yes, early.
Yes, and Calvin Johnson,
and
by the way.
Ball was on display in that game, too.
Yeah, it was.
A lot of block kicks.
Yeah.
But they have to go back to Blacksburg, so, you know what? It's a different Virginia Tech team, and I think it's a more experienced Georgia Tech team. And they've been challenged a lot more than Virginia Tech has. So that'll be a very deciding game as far as the ACC is concerned.
And the catch is made there by Emmanuel Byers. He's come into the ball game. First down yardage before Pat Clark forces him out. We talked about the game in Columbus. College game day will come from just outside the old horseshoe in the banks of the Olentangy. Penn State searching for some offensive identity, I think, Kirk. They're trying to do some different things. The offense does not look the same as when Robinson ran it. Anthony Morelli, they're trying to figure out how to get the ball to the playmakers, and I think that their confidence is pretty fragile going into that game given the woodshed beatdown they took at Notre Dame. They need good things to happen early, I think, Penn State, especially on offense. It's incomplete through the hands of Maurice Covington. You buy that? Lions still looking for identity against a very good Ohio State defense that we saw up close in Austin.
Penn State started 13 fifth-year seniors last year. The heart and soul of that team was Michael Robinson. His big playability, his creativity, much like Vince Young, is no longer there. Morelli's going to be a good quarterback, but they've got to help him up front. On the road in Columbus, a place where Penn State traditionally has struggled mightily. And I really wonder on the other side of the ball, Tom Bradley's a great defensive coordinator, gone to a little bit more of a 3-4 defense. How will they stop Troy Smith?
Pat caught underneath by Tom Santee, the tight end. And the fumbled handoff running to his left. Michael Johnson lost the handle. Georgia Tech football. So it had been a little promising drive, trying to tighten the gap here instead. Johnson fumbles it, and Jamal Lewis recovers it for Georgia Tech. All right, let's get back to the big ball game in Columbus. Welcome in Mark May from the studio. Mark, Penn State's offense, I think a lot to prove against the defense as good as Ohio State and a very hostile crowd. The message was from the Buckeyes to the Lions at the media day this year, you're not going to have 100,000 on your side like you did last year when we went to State College and you beat us.
And you're looking at a very improved defense by Ohio State, replacing 9 starters. We thought that would be their question mark, that Achilles heel this year, but it really hasn't. James Laurinaitis has really stepped up at the linebacker position, making plays. And if you look at this defense, they've got 13 sacks. They're third in the country, so they're doing a wonderful job of getting up and against the passer. So Penn State's really going to have their hands full against Ohio State at home.
We're in agreement. Even Andre 3000 agrees with us that
I think
it's the Buckeyes. That's why they're 17-point favorites. I want to see Paul Posluszny at Penn State. He's a guy that is coming off that knee injury in the Orange Bowl. He's been wearing a brace. This game Saturday, he wants to chuck the brace. He's telling the doctors, I don't need it. He's playing a little different position. That Penn State defense has retooled. Kirk, a little bit more 3-4, and I think Posluszny has a lot to prove, that he's healthy and that he can be as productive as he was last year.
I hope so, man. He was such a great player last year, and this game for him last year was kind of his big moment.
Choice gets the handoff from Ball, skipping through the Virginia secondary. Cannot get away from Chris Cook to corner, but that's by far the line. A flag comes in late behind the play, a 46-yard run for Choice. Jackets' best running play of the night, but we'll check the flag. Chris Long signaling that it's on Tech, and it is a clip. So Choice, who waited all night to kind of get free and break a long run, will get positive yards. The penalty was downfield. They'll mark it back starting at the 27 of Virginia.
Clipping number 61 offense, 15 yards, spot of the foul. The yardage still results in a first down.
That penalty did not really factor into the play.
No, it didn't. It didn't. Once Choice broke through the line of scrimmage with some pretty good blocking and some outstanding vision, he cuts that right back against the grain against those linebackers. Then he shows you why I think these Georgia Tech offensive coaches are so excited about what he has to offer to this offense. You lose P.J. Daniels' power, but you gain a running back who has a pretty good burst in Tashard Choice.
Ball fires over the head. Chris Dunlap.
Let me finish my point there. We were having some fun there breaking it down. As far as Penn State, I thought Puzzlesny, we watched him on the field. A.J. Hawk and he kind of went back and forth in that wideout in Happy Valley. And because his team won, and the way he played and the speed that he played with, I think he all of a sudden went to a different level as far as people appreciating him. And I think now he comes back a year later after the injury. Hopefully he is. You said he's playing a new position. Hopefully he is able to go out there and play with that same kind of athletic ability. They'll need that Saturday.
Jamal Evans, the true freshman, gets the handoff from Ball. Well, they're using a little bit more 3-4 at Penn State, so he's not playing in space as much. He's sometimes lined up over the tight end. He's running down the field in coverage. So early on, Puzzlesny has said it's taken some time to adjust to that. Plus, you know, if you judge it by the Notre Dame game, keep in mind that Weiss went to a no huddle. They were on the field a long time, and they were worn out, that defense. They all look slow.
You going Jaws?
Tell you get
playing in space, technique, getting in there, making plays.
Get on me. He's playing more on the strong side.
Who's playing
outside
well?
backer.
Dan Connor's playing really well.
But he's the guy who's in space now. He's the guy that's asked to do and what Puzzlesny did last year.
Right. The reason Tom Bradley's playing with the 3-4 is because of all the linebackers that they have. I mean, that's become the strength of that defense. What an amazing turnout by the Penn State fans last year in Happy Valley.
On third down, it's Grant getting the pitch on the reverse. Couldn't get a block out there. Picked up about 7 yards. It'll be short of a first down. Hamilton and Glaspie there on the stop. See what Gailey decides to do now on fourth down. They don't take a timeout, so I guess they're going to be content to move it back 5 yards.
Arizona State Cal, do anything for it?
Delay of game, number 1, offense.
I like that Pac-10 game.
I did too.
You're raring to go. You might not sleep between now and game day. You're so excited about these matchups.
We got some good games this weekend. I know you look at it and you see 2 or 3, but that's usually where you end up seeing some potential scares. LC likes Kansas State, I think.
See, Kansas State, Louisville, to me, is one of the most interesting games of the weekend. Can Louisville, with Hunter Cantwell,
you guys are underestimating
filling in for Brom.
My man Hunter Cantwell.
Well, the ex-Virginia coordinator Prince now has Kansas State at 3-0.
Yeah, we'll see.
Don't make it seem like I'm calling for the K-State win there.
LC is.
Tune in Saturday.
You jumping in on that?
Tune in on Saturday. Well, we just missed an interception by Georgia Tech. They take a shot down the field. Sewell, pinned back at his own territory, chucks it down the sidelines. And another turnover. Satisfying evening for Georgia Tech's defense, and now Taylor Bennett, the backup quarterback, will get his turn to mop it up. The true freshman Evans. Chance to get his name in the stat column. Glaspie on the stop after about an 11-yard gain. Jackets 2 of the next 3 games. We talked about on the road at Virginia Tech. A week from Saturday, home Maryland, then at Clemson. So arguably the 2 best teams in this conference this season, the Hokies and the Clemson Tigers. 2 of the next 3 games, then they come home. I don't know what it says about Miami these days, Kirk. I mean, should we read into the fact that the Hurricanes are the homecoming opponent for Georgia Tech this year? Is Miami a homecoming opponent?
Is that what well, they beat them last year.
Yeah, why not?
I'm looking forward to seeing how Miami regroups.
The entire Hurricane Nation is hoping they'll regroup.
You look at their schedule, I'll be shocked if they're not 6-2. I know they're off this week. This is Georgia Tech's schedule. Touched on at Virginia Tech, Maryland, at Clemson, 2 tough ones. Miami at home's a tough one. They got 3 games that, I know they're 2 of the 3 are away from home, but manageable. And then Georgia shut it down. Chan Gailey made an interesting point. If they do have a chance to make it all the way to the get to the ACC championship game, they've got to play a non-conference game the week before against an in-state rival in Georgia.
So what are you supposed to do? You got the conference championship, the BCS Bowl bid on the line. Georgia's obviously for pride, but you're supposed to sit out Calvin Johnson in that case. He was asking us what we thought.
He said Florida State face the same dilemma. Clemson and South Carolina face the same dilemma. And Georgia and Georgia Tech with that conference championship the next week if you qualify for it. Meanwhile, your fans, Clemson really wants to beat South Carolina and vice versa. Same with Florida and Florida State. And, of course, Georgia and Georgia Tech. Those games for the fan base and for the players are every bit as meaningful as a conference championship game.
Meanwhile, for Virginia, they have 2 must, and we mean must-win games at Duke and East Carolina the next couple of weeks. See Evans there, stacked up. Starters are still in there for the Virginia defense, and Jeffrey Fitzgerald with the stop.
Big thing for Al Groh is just keeping his team, keeping them where they're continuing to go out and compete Monday through Friday during practice. And because they're so young, I don't think that'll be a problem for him. I think that's one of his strengths as a coach. And I know the quarterback's numbers aren't going to stand out and make you think, boy, he had a great night. But he faced a lot of adversity and a great defense. And I think he took some steps in the right direction to give Al Groh a chance to try to compete and try to get some offense. Because right now, they're lacking continuity on the offensive line. And Jamil Sewell's arm strength, his mobility, his creativity give him a chance when everything else doesn't seem to be going right.
It was an interesting year for Virginia. They knew with all those players lost, they had the monster group a couple of years ago, sent 7 players to the draft. 4 players went from Virginia to the draft this past year. Not that kind of experienced, NFL-ready talent on this roster. They've recruited pretty well. Mike Farrell, Rivals.com, keeps me posted. They have 20 commitments already, but the problem is, Kirk, these verbal commitments these days are really almost meaningless because the re-recruiting of these guys is getting very serious, and it's happening at Miami. Any program that's struggling right now, other schools are calling up the verbal commitments saying, you see what's going on here or there, they're struggling. Are you sure you want to step into that? And they're trying to re-recruit these guys, and Virginia off to a very, very promising start. It's listed as one of the top 10 in the country right now, but games like this, you begin to get a little nervous.
You counter that if you're Al Groh. Yeah, those other teams that are recruiting, you're right. We don't look good. You know what's great? You're going to come in here and start as a freshman. That's what you say to them.
Sure.
I mean, what an opportunity to play at a school in the ACC. Step in here right away and have a shot to compete.
They've been able to recruit linemen, tight ends, linebackers. It's getting the top-notch receivers, some of the skill players, because they're not featured as much in this offense.
Well, they had Alvin Pearman, Wally Lundy as running backs, but they've got to go out, you're right, and to win in today's game, you've got to have difference makers on the outside. And I think that's, going back to Miami, what's affecting Miami right now is they don't have the great playmakers at this point out at wide receiver. Puts a lot of pressure on the rest of your offense, the quarterback and the running game. If you don't have receivers out there that can make a defense pay for crowding the line, got to have balance and playmaking ability. And Virginia, that's what they've got to go out and find.
Sewell fires. Short catch by Pearman, who's split out there. The Jackets have recruited very well, Farrell tells me, in the early going. He feels like Gailey and his staff may have really turned the corner in on a lot of players and getting verbal commitments over schools like Georgia and Florida from the SEC, which is doing very well because it's not the traditional thing. You have academic requirements that make it tougher to recruit.
You're dialed in on recruiting, man. You're all over it.
We saved that for the 17-point games with a minute 22 to go.
I couldn't tell you the first thing about recruiting. You were a recruiting guru. You and Mike Farrell, baby. It's up-to-date weekly.
We just burning up the cell phone just for occasions like this.
You're all over.
Well, it's time for our player of the game presented by Wrangler. This is another no-brainer, just like Ian Johnson and Slayton.
Calvin Johnson we didn't know if he would go tonight. He said it was a game-time decision.
He went.
Making the most of it, and 2 real big plays to get on the board for Georgia Tech.
Heron in the air, and they fight for it. Intercepted. The ball was batted high in the air by Darrell Robertson, who's played a terrific game. DJ Jones there for the interception. Nice little punctuation for a Georgia Tech defense that really played well tonight. That guy included. He is a stud pass rusher.
Well, their entire front has had a huge night. The linebackers have played well. Darrell Robertson able to get up there. Look at the defense fighting for the ball. 2 of them. Ward Daniels getting in there, and there was a good effort there by Georgia Tech. They had that ball swarmed.
Able to out-jump the tight end Santee for that pick. So Virginia will drop to 1-3, and the Jackets improved to 3-1.
We just talked about the player of the game tonight. Of course, it's Calvin Johnson, but Reggie Ball right next to him. Chris, his numbers: 10 of 19, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns, but no interceptions, and for the most part, made great decisions with the football. And that's been the thing with Reggie. Throw the ball away, don't force things. And if Reggie Ball continues to make good decisions, they go to Virginia Tech next week. That gives the Yellow Jackets a great shot to compete in the ACC because of the defense that they have and the experience of Calvin Johnson, Tashard Choice in the backfield, and Reggie Ball's play.
Successful Throwback Thursday. Thanks to Kim Belton, our producer, Mike Schwab, our director, our very talented crew down there in the truck. Stats, Marty Aronoff, and our spotter in the booth, Mike Black. So, Chan Gailey and Georgia Tech will head to the road with a 3-1 record, winning their conference opener. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.